It's an amazing world, the journey in Africa. Like, I'll give you an example. I was in Uganda and they were playing with a soccer ball and every kid was smiling. They stopped. That soccer ball was made out of elastics. So they have basics. They don't even live on $1 a month. So think about it, your Starbucks cost you $7. That would feed 7 people for a month. A lot of them are subsistence. They grow their own vegetables. And the takeout that I got is they're all happy. They're all smiling. They don't have first world problems. They don't go to doctors. They're not overweight. They're just happy people. And they'll come run to me and they'll say, Ulungi, like Whitey, can I have a sweetie? And then they will all line up 20 people. You'll give them one sweet. They'll say thank you. So it's very, very different to here.
Yeah.
And I'm saying we realize that we have so much. You know, we're always chasing a Porsche or a Mercedes or a Rolls Royce or something fancy, but in order to survive, you actually need a lot less.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Quest for Knowledge. My name is Mika Sall. I'm a 17-year-old student on the Quest for Knowledge. This is episode 8 of Quest for Knowledge, and here today I'm here with Taitz. He is from South Africa and he has had quite the story, so I just wanted to hear from it, and I think that you guys could benefit from it too. So where did you start in Africa with your childhood and your parents and everything?
Okay, so thank you for having me. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to help on your show. And as we were discussing earlier, best of luck wherever you decide to go to college. So I grew up in Cape Town, which is now on the international map. I was one of 4 brothers. I was number 3 or 4. And from an early age, I had to fend for myself. My dad died when I was 3 or 4, no living memories. So I learned to be an entrepreneur to survive from a very, very early age. So,
How young?
My dad died, I was 3.5. So no living memories. So I had 2 older brothers that were very strict. So I knew if I wanted to get ahead in this world, I'm going to have to work harder, probably 10 times harder than everyone, and a lot smarter just to get ahead. So my mom worked about 3 or 4 jobs just to get us through school, and I knew that there was no chances. I had to wake up earlier than everyone, and if I wanted to succeed, the odds were always stacked against me. So,
Would you say you were the most hardworking out of all your siblings?
So out of all my siblings, I would say I was probably the least hardworking academically, but the most hardworking business-wise and street-wise. I never got up. I was always scheming. I was always daydreaming. Today I do it, except when I'm driving. I try not to daydream, otherwise the car in front of me might get to learn about my insurance company. But yeah, I've always put in a lot of effort. I mean, growing up, I was very good at sport. So I used the discipline of sport because I wasn't the richest, I didn't have the best clothes. So I knew I always had to give 100% effort and always train hard for sport. And I used those learnings to make sure I was very successful in life.
Do you think that sports gave you the discipline and gave you the confidence because you didn't get it from your clothing, your home, and other things?
100%. So, in life, it was not anyone else's issue that I had no money, but living in a Jewish society, as we know, in Cape Town in South Africa, people were always used to look down on me because my family, we didn't have the means or whatever. But on the sports field, we were all equal. So, there's a whistle, there's 60 minutes or 90 minutes or however long the game was. So sport gave me discipline because there I was on an equal footing. It didn't matter what your financial or your social thing was. As long as I was on the field, I gave 150%. And those lessons from sport, I knew where people were giving 50% on the field, 80%. I used to walk on that field ready. I planned in my mind exactly what I was going to do for that game. And I was prepared. And when I rocked up, I could focus 100%. So it's the same which came later in life when I built a business, was that same focus and planning. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 scenarios ahead.
Yeah.
So I always had a plan, and I always knew I was successful. Oh, sorry, I wouldn't say I was successful. I always knew I would be successful, and it wasn't arrogance, it was self-confidence that how you start is not how you finish. So where you are yesterday is not where you're going to be tomorrow.
I like that. So knowing where you came from, not from a lot of money and in South Africa, and then you built this business in Africa, not just South Africa, can you share a little bit about how you did that and how other people can benefit from coming from nothing and then becoming successful?
Yeah, so it was very, very easy. You can see it. Huh?
Easy.
It was easy because I'll define easy now. Because if you think you're going to walk Everest, you're not going to climb Everest. But it was easy because I took baby steps on the path. I set myself very small, realistic goals, and as I achieved each goal, then I made the bigger goal. In order to make $1 million, I needed to make $10, and then 100, and then 1,000, and then 2,000, 5,000. So it was easy because I knew where the end game was, but I built a picture in my mind. So if I want to do a marathon one day, I've got to run 5 miles, and 10 miles, and 20 miles. And it was easy because I broke it down into small chunks, what was realistic. So if I thought I was going to make $1 million in a year, I would have closed down.
Yeah.
So I took small, I always say baby steps, and each thing I visualized what I wanted to do. Some of my friends thought I was absolutely mad and crazy, but I had an end game, and then I reverse engineered backwards. So how would I climb? It was Kilimanjaro, which I did, which was the tallest mountain in Africa. How do you work backwards? Because you got to rock up prepared, and each thing in life, everything that I did, whether I was successful or it was a failure, the failures were growth and guidance to do it correct as I grew on the path. And it's easier to make your mistakes when you don't have a family, when you don't have people to support, and every single mistake, and believe me, I made lots of mistakes. I unfortunately make lots of mistakes now, but less, because now the mistakes are more costly. But every mistake happened for me and not to me, because it put me back on the path. So it's like, just say you're running a marathon and you're injured. What do? You go to the physio, you get the rehab, and you do the exercises, and then you only come back on the path. So in business, whenever I went wrong, I would think where I went wrong, I'd learn the errors, then I'd go out and make sure I never made that same mistake again.
So basically, let's start from the baby steps. So you break it down. So it's like if you want to run a marathon, you go 1 mile, then 2 miles, 3 miles, 4 miles. So you have a goal, it's just split up into multiple goals.
Correct.
Yes.
So I'm saying, if we just go back to the marathon, if you know your marathon is in 6 months' time, start planning immediately. So once you have that goal, start planning immediately. So my business was doing prepaid mobile SIM cards around the country. What I did was I analyzed that there were 120,000 to 140,000 shops that could sell my product. I worked out where I would go closest, and then I'd go further and further and further. So it's the same as doing the marathon.
Yeah.
If I tried to do 20 miles in one day, I would have never done it. So in business, I always say it's called the low-hanging fruits. Whatever I could do to get me to that marathon or to the finish line, I would do. And generally, whatever it is whatever is closest to you. Mm-hmm. Those are the easiest things. So if it's contacts, whatever you're doing, it's nearby. You're not driving 6 hours, you're driving 20 minutes. So I broke my business down to circles. So like a 10-mile radius, I would do everything that I can, because if it was close, I could get to more shops.
Yeah.
And then 20 miles, and then 30 miles. So I didn't go for the whole market. I went for each little chunk, as they say in South Africa, and then I could go further on to the next step.
How did you expand your business throughout Africa?
So very, very easily. Well, actually quite hard.
Everything's easy for you.
Yeah, it's easy now to say at the time.
Yeah.
But so what I did was I did each town by town, and then I got all the mobile operators on board, which is South Africa, it's MTN, Vodacom, Telkom, and Cell C, so the equivalent of T-Mobile, AT&T, and Verizon.
Mm-hmm.
So I got them all on board as partners for my business, and my solution to them was I was going to they didn't need me, I needed them, and I said with my ability to distribute in the informal markets, I will grow your market share. So I had one mobile operator, 2, 3, and 4, and then we started in one town, we went to the next town, we went to the next town, I then hired one rep, one driver. I started myself. So in South Africa, they called me one man and a sprinter. That's how I built the business, because you can't build a business from an ivory tower selling beautiful offices.
Yeah.
I physically went out and did the route. So I knew I could do 120 stores. Then when I employed the first person, they said they could do 30. I said, not possible. I did 120, and I still was taking calls and whatever. So because I built it from the bottom up, it was easy. And then I got all 4 of the countries. I got all 4 of the mobile operators. I'd done the whole country. And then by having good relationships with the informal traders, which were foreign nationals from around Africa, then they told me, come meet my cousins, come meet the ministers. And then from South Africa, I ventured on to all the neighboring countries, which were close.
Yeah.
We started selling phones into Botswana, which was close. Mozambique, which was close. So everywhere, which was a 2-hour flight. Mm-hmm. So I could do my work Monday to Friday, get on a plane, and then on the weekends I could go source customers. And then when the shops were closed in South Africa, because in South Africa generally by Friday I'd supplied all of them, when my friends were resting and partying and having a picnic, I was working on the weekends. So I say, why it's easy is because I work 7 days a week, because there's always someone that's working harder and smarter than you, and you've got the rest of your life to have a party or to have fun. So my competitive advantage was I could find all these markets in the neighboring countries to supply my phones, and then when the supply in South Africa wasn't enough, I couldn't get enough from the local wholesalers, then I went to China, then I went to London, then I went to Hong Kong, then I got refurbished phones, and then my business expanded because naturally one thing led to another. So if I did all the basics right with SIM cards, then I did phones, then I did accessories, then I found a gap for power banks because the people's 3G and 4G started coming on. So because I'd done all the basics and I ticked every box with one thing, it was very easy to move on to the next thing. And then South Africa became too small, and then Africa became too small, and then I left 7 years ago because there was nothing left to achieve in South Africa. I'd won every award, I made the targets that I set to set up my family for life. I kept on making them, and it was time to go challenge myself on the international stage. And what I didn't know now, which I know now, this is the most competitive market in the whole world.
Phones or
everything? There's a big amount of people, but it's a first world country where in South Africa I had a competitive advantage because there weren't many players. In what I do, there's so many more people here. The market is so big. But I still set out and I tried. We did quite well. We set up in California. So, as I say, made in Africa, matured in America. And then from California, we started supplying all our products on Amazon. So we started all the mobile phones and the accessories. We started supplying to Canada, Mexico, all the South American countries. I think even the UK on Amazon. So from one base, we spread it out. So from South Africa, it got me all over Africa, then it got me to America, and then from America, it got me to supply all the neighboring countries. So a very similar model to what I'd done in South Africa.
Do you still have the business?
So when I arrived here, COVID came, and then all the cell phone shops were basically shut down for 6 or 7 months. But we were very lucky we could pivot into the PPE items. I mean, we were the fastest growing on Amazon. We sold 40 million. So what I wanted to do with the cellular here, I managed to make the money on the PPE. And then it was very, very hard with COVID and not being able to travel to South Africa and Africa. I decided, let me rather concentrate my efforts in South Africa, because now with mobile phones, everyone was at home. So the business that I wanted to launch, it needed everyone back at the office, and it worked on people not spending all their data. So COVID basically shut down the model that I wanted to run here. But all the learnings and the brand and all the accessories and everything that I got here, I shipped it into Africa. And learning from here, my business probably over the last 5 years grew 90% in Africa.
90?
90%. So it's almost doubled in the last 5 years, taking the learnings from operating in America and bringing those back into South Africa. And we set up a business in Ethiopia, which we sold to the local partners. After about 2 years, one of the mobile operators got a license there. And now I live here, and I'm not involved in my business and operations on the daily thing, but I strategically run it, and just from setting up everything and learning another way and another model. And I travel a lot to all the different branches and see how people do prepaid all around the world. So my friends think I'm on holiday, but I'm visiting the stores, I'm visiting the networks. So generally my competitive advantage is I'm 6 to 9 months ahead of everyone. So I know the trends, I know what phones to bring in, I know how prepaid's going, which packages, how to do things differently, and get access to all the different softwares, which my competitors that only can do what's available in South Africa, I can source from the whole world.
So going back to your childhood in that book that I didn't introduce to you guys yet, but he wrote that book, I think, right? Yeah,
for my 50th birthday, the book was just, the book was about all the amazing people that I bought. Sorry. The book I bought for amazing people, but it was all the people that I'd met on the way in Africa. So I just wanted to give the world a glimpse of all the amazing places that I've been to, people that I'd seen, and the wonderful entrepreneurs.
I read the whole book last night before today. I skimmed through it, and I saw that you talked about relationships with people around Africa, and maybe they have less income than Americans or other people around the world. And I was wondering what benefits you got from those relationships and how that connected to your childhood.
Yeah, so I have a lot of empathy for all the foreign nationals. So people from Africa, like from South America, they all want to come to America because it's the economic capital of the world. The same thing happens in South Africa. So I've lived as an immigrant, and I left it's funny we're doing this today, exactly 7 years ago.
From today,
7 years ago, I got on a plane with 3 young, small, crying, screaming children, and we came for an adventure. So I know what it's like to be a foreigner, because even though I've been here 7 years and I have all the means, I've gone through the visas, all the struggles. So I have a lot more empathy for the people, and I started where they are. I know what they go through. And it's an amazing world, the journey in Africa. I'll give you an example. I was in Uganda, and they were playing with a soccer ball. And every kid was smiling. They stopped. That soccer ball was made out of elastics. So they have basics. They don't even live on $1 a month. So think about it, your Starbucks cost you $7. That would feed 7 people for a month. A lot of them are subsistence. They grow their own vegetables. And the takeout that I got is they're all happy. They're all smiling. They don't have first world problems. They don't go to doctors. They're not overweight. They're just happy people, and they'll come run to me and they'll say, Ulungi, like Whitey, can I have a sweetie? And then they will all line up 20 people. You'll give them one sweet. They'll say thank you. So it's very, very different to here.
Yeah.
And I'm saying you realize that we have so much. You know, we're always chasing a Porsche or a Mercedes or a Rolls Royce or something fancy, but in order to survive, you actually need a lot less.
We always want more.
Unfortunately,
like in our society,
human nature is you want more. But I'm saying sometimes the people that have nothing, they survive.
I know, and they're happy.
Yeah, they don't have running water, but they don't have diseases. They're out in the field 5-6 hours playing soccer after school, and then the mom is there who's gone 4 to 6 miles to pull, get the wood, put it on the back, cook the thing, and then they'll eat their vegetables. They'll have their potatoes and their stew and very little meat, but they're happy.
That gives you a lot of discipline too, right? Did you ever have to go through that, like, specific lifestyle?
Yes, so I'm saying, growing up in South Africa, not having any money, I had to fend for myself. So,
but your mom, did she have to go out and go get the wood, the water?
Yes, that's South Africa, which is first world, where we had power and stuff like that. So we always had power. Sometimes we didn't have money to pay for the electricity, but it's a lot easier. So South Africa is a first world country, and the rest of Africa is like a third world, where it's very rural, low income.
I see.
So in South Africa, the average person probably earns $600 to $800, when rural Africa it can be $1 to $20 or $30.
So it's different.
Yeah. So we didn't walk growing up getting wood and stuff like that.
Okay. So that's like the majority of Africa. They're not South Africa.
So South Africa is like the richest part of Africa. So.
But you still had to adapt and everything. Yeah,
you have to survive. So I was young. At 10 years old, I got a job at a pet shop, and I had to carry a 100-pound bale of lucerne and sacks of corn. But those things made me strong to pay for sport. So that 10 rand that I earned for Saturday, that was pocket money. That was food money. So if there was nothing at home for food, I could go buy some bread or stuff like that. So you learn, if you only have a little bit, you've got to make a little bit go a long way. And as I've grown my business, there's been no ego. And the disciplines I always run my business like there's no money.
Yeah.
And whatever comes, and I pay all the distributors and the agents, and I pay them first. And then whatever's left over is for me. So I just run business like psychology. If there's 4 or 5 people offering the same product or service, why would they take it from Barry? And they take it from Barry because they like the way I think, they like what I do in the world, the message that I give out there. And most importantly, not being a doctor or a lawyer, is I'm 1,000% honest.
Yeah.
And I tell people, if you're not a doctor and a lawyer, well, even if you are a doctor and a lawyer, you only have your name once. You're as good as one small mistake, and there's temptation there all the time, but you got to know the end goal. So if you see the end goal, there's no shortcuts to success. You're not going to make quick money and then your world's going to turn around. So having a successful business and having time and meeting these people, which we go in the book, I showed some of the people that I managed to meet in Ethiopia, in Zambia, all around Africa, even Namibia, and I try to give back and support the local communities and buy their products and sell them in America so they could be paid properly, and some of the stuff that I bought there has fed families for maybe a year, and with the one partnership with Afar, they were able to employ 50 people in the factory for a year, which fed 150, 200 people with the investment that I made to take their products and give them to people.
Very nice. So just one more question, then we can end this. But if you had to introduce yourself to somebody that you didn't know without telling them what you do, your ethnicity, your religion, your family, how many kids you have, how would you introduce yourself?
I would say, as it says here, I'm Big Boss Barry.
Big Boss Barry.
So all my friends and colleagues call me Big Boss Barry. Mm-hmm. I'm not so big anymore. So I'll just introduce myself as Barry. And then people will pick up on my energy. And then, they want to do business or want to become friends, it's easy.
Yeah.
So I don't have a business card. I'm not a corporate person. I will meet people like when you said to me, and I'm very quick at responding. You said 1 minute, and I always believe just do everything and then rest afterwards. Don't rest and then do things later. And you said you want to do a Zoom. I said, no, I'll make the effort. I'll come to the offices. We'll set it up. We'll do it properly. And in person, you get a lot more out of someone. And you
feel the emotion too.
Yeah. That's why I hate Zooms. I don't even use a computer. I will go meet people. I'll travel all around the world to meet people because they can see I make the effort.
Yeah.
And I do it just because I want nothing out of it. I would love to meet as many people as possible and share my story because I've been very successful. And it's time, as I'd say, like with all our marketing and everything, I want to train the next generation of entrepreneurs. The next person that's hungry like I was when I was a kid. And I don't want anyone ever to go hungry. So if I can install any of my knowledge on anyone, that is better than making any amount of money. And I'm saying making money, unfortunately, to survive, we all have to make money. Money is a derivative and profit of doing everything correctly. Not some things correctly, every single thing with honesty and integrity. And then you have the runway to build the biggest business in the world.
I love that, actually.
Not that I want to leave that for Elon Musk. He can do a lot better job than me. I actually want to have a work-life balance.
It's not a competition.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us today for Quest for Knowledge, Barry Taitz. And that is all. Have an amazing day.